right, well, welcome everyone to the last NeoSTEM meeting of 2021. We're all about to go on our breaks and all of those things. But so we're wrapping up the year, hopefully in a little bit of style. And as usual, we have a lot we want to cover today. Four things, really. Number one, we thought it'd be a good time to do a quick year in review. Number two, we also need a little bit of input from you about our neighborhood project. Number three, you've heard before about the new Score with STEM initiative that we're doing with the Cavs. So we're going to talk a little bit about that initiative and whether or not you'd like to be part of that initiative, because it's now time to start filling in the holes, filling in the blanks to make sure that that's an amazing event. And finally, as always, we want to leave some time for you to get to know each other a little bit better. So first, our year in review. So this year, it seems like, man, when I look at this sentence in my notes here, it says it all started with DreamSTEM. And I got to tell you, Alyssa, John, that feels like 2019, let alone 2020. Man, that feels, or 2021, that feels like a very, very long time ago that we started with DreamSTEM in a series of 3 meetings with as many as 75 engaged stakeholders attending each meeting. We identified the goals, the priorities, and some of the needs that NeoSTEM could be addressing. And from DreamSTEM, we launched a teacher externship program that's going to serve as the model for future summers and expand and shift and really be an incredible experience. We met some of our new friends through that initiative, and we learned so much from it. The I Am STEM campaign, which is still ongoing and incredibly exciting. I keep hearing great things about it. And our neighborhood programming that we're launching with our friends from MyCom. And I had a baby like a week ago. So that's something in the 2021 year as well. And all of this work has an underlying driver. And this is something that you, or trusted NeoSTEM partners, identified 2.5 or so years ago. You said NeoSTEM's work should concentrate on developing the visibility and accessibility of STEM professions for underserved students, with a concentration on Black and Brown students. And I have to tell you, I don't know if you're proud of yourselves, because I know that when you're inside of work, especially when it's something like NeoSTEM, where this isn't your job, so you're not dedicating 40, 50, 60 hours a week to NeoSTEM. The amount of things that you all have been able to accomplish today, this year, as not your first job, is really, really pretty astounding. So I don't know if you're proud of yourselves, but you really, really should be. All right, so I'd like to fast forward to now. We're in December. We're closing out this year. We've got some really pretty cool updates on our existing projects. I know one that I'm very excited about is our brand new partnership with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I had the opportunity with Alyssa and Ramses and some others to visit the facility a few weeks ago, and really get to start to visualize what this could look like. And I have to tell you all, if you're not involved yet, if you're not sure whether you want to be involved, and I don't say this lightly, you know that I don't say things like this lightly. I think I'm holding a spoon for some reason. I think that's how serious I am. I think that you're really, really going to regret not being an active part of this if you're not, because it's going to be just awesome. Just awesome. We're going to be able to gather so many kids through the umbrella of sports who maybe normally don't activate towards STEM career, sciences, math, and all of our science kids too. We're going to be able to get all of our regular kids in Cleveland who are into this type of stuff and this whole new audience under the same roof for a really, really exciting and engaging opportunity. So Ebony, can you talk to us a little bit about where we are with our NeoSTEM partners in this project?
Sure thing, Jeremy. So I'm waiting for you to have that music cued and ready that you didn't have for the opening of our meeting. And you're going to give us that hype music. So now we're at the arena, we're entering, the families are there. I can hear it. I don't know about you all, but every time I go to a professional sports game, the music is what's driving me. Everyone's rushing, trying to figure out like who's on court, where are our seats, all those different things. And you did a perfect segue into talking about how this is really for the youth. So NeoSTEM doesn't need you to sign up and become an exhibitor. Our youth do. Our youth and their families in Cleveland need our organizations. Another thing I wanted to remind you all of, it's going to be March 19th. You know what that means? Spring is in the air for Cleveland, Ohio, folks. So not only will we have this magnificent time, like with this amazing event that we're going to have, but spring will be just around the corner. And that will probably kick off what I'm going to already just put into the universe, a series of additional events just like this to come. So I am begging our partners. I know it's the holiday season. I know everyone's just thinking about, maybe gift buying or being with family, but we need you to sign up for our youth and families in Cleveland that's looking for this opportunity. It is going to be an amazing time. So think about that hype music, game time. You're down there with your organization. Yeah, there we go. Just like on cue. So now I'm thinking about myself, even being on the floor down there, and I'm ready to bring kids over to the table and engage them. This is what we need to have happen for the kids in our city. So I'm excited about it. But in order to do that, please, please, please look at the link in the chat. We have a Google form in there for you to sign up on behalf of your organization so we can start getting a count, getting you down there on the floor and getting ready. Fundraising is still a thing, it's still happening. We have just about $70,000 in committed funds for this event. We still need more, and it's not just a one and done. So this is just one of many to come for this update. So get excited, folks, it's coming, it's coming. Thank you, Jeremy, for the hype music. We needed it, it was perfect, right on time.
Tell you what, Ebony, after this meeting, I've got my little keypad here that I use to mute people and start videos and all that stuff. I'm going to make a dedicated Cleveland Cavs button that I can hit to start that music at the drop of a hat. So we won't have that mess up in the future. Thank you so much, Ebony. Alyssa, I think there are some other updates associated with this Cavs project as well. I'm hoping that you can share those and get us set up for our next steps as we move into the new year.
Sure. So the Cavs project is actually part of the whole NeoSTEM plan that Jeremy alluded to earlier. And is my sound coming through okay, or do I need to turn off my video?
I just turned your video off for you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so our goal with this Score with STEM event is to not just do one incredible day and not just do what you call, Jeremy, a active STEM, but instead to really, really, really engage these students and their families so much so that it sparks something and that it sparks in them a desire to want to engage in STEM more. So our hope is to be able to use this event to introduce to work in the community and to other STEM opportunities that they'll want to engage with throughout the year. Also, NeoSTEM, and Jeremy alluded to this earlier, NeoSTEM in partnership with MyCom, and I'm going to stop talking now, let Alex kind of take it from here in a second, but NeoSTEM in partnership with MyCom has been developing a plan, and Alex, I'm going to stop talking and pass things over to you, and if you want to explain a little bit more there.
Make it relatively quick. Hi, everybody. I wanted to fill everyone in on this these conversations we've been having. We at MyCom have a team of coordinators that work with every region or most of the regions of the city of Cleveland, usually in groups of 2 or 3 neighborhoods. And it so happens that our coordinator for the Mount Pleasant region, Lisa Mack, who I don't think is on here, has been on some of these calls, is a former engineer. Well, once an engineer, always an engineer. She's an engineer who also happens to work with youth. And she's been really interested in bringing some programming to her region. Several of the schools that she works with in the Mount Pleasant region are interested, including some of the Cleveland Public Library branches. So the exciting thing is that we've had a few introductory conversations with her, and have had a conversation with during her regional meeting for all the youth serving partners in that neighborhood, Mount Pleasant, Lee Harvard, and Union Miles neighborhoods, to bring to basically do a bit of a needs assessment. And what we kind of decided to do was have more focused conversations with some interested partners about how to bring the program to them, I want to make sure I say this the right way. We want the program leaders and operators, we want to have like a bit of a listening session with them. We want to hear them, we want to hear what's going to help them accomplish their goals in their program, even if they're not necessarily a STEM program. Awful lot of these programs have a mentorship component and a lot of interest in STEM, but maybe not folks who are comfortable teaching the subject, as well as folks who are passionate and interested and have some groups of young people, but know they can continue to do the work by bringing somebody else in to enhance. So it's a really great opportunity for us to basically design some listening sessions, conversations with folks from those neighborhoods that are sort of a branch out from our typical MyCom meeting. So that's actually kind of where we want to go with our breakout sessions today, is start to brainstorm some ideas around what kinds of questions would elicit some discussion, would promote a community engagement in our effort here. So as we think about neighborhood STEM, what sorts of ways can we open the door? And maybe the best way to think about this is when you've told somebody that you work on STEM and they say, I think I know a little bit about that, tell me more. What sorts of questions do you ask to prompt them talking, right? You can give them a little bit of a discussion, a little bit of your explanation, but usually you ask some more questions like, what do you think of when you think of STEM? Or what are some of the things you've heard? And kind of go off of that. So I think that's part of where we want to go with our discussion groups is, introduce ourselves to each other, and then identify a few questions that you believe we could ask or should ask as we're conducting these listening sessions. What do you think is important for us to know about a community before we, embark on a big project like this? So is that doable? Anything that we want to, Jeremy, you want to add? You were nodding, but I want to make sure I'm.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And John is already setting up some rooms right now, just randomly assigned rooms. We keep hearing from everybody that there's a lot of value in these smaller groups where some of the folks who aren't as loud and obnoxious as me can have a chance to say a few words and meet each other and get to know each other a little bit better. So we're excited for that part and for you to give this feedback. We'll come back here in just a little bit. We'll give you a warning before we close the rooms. So if you could have a quick discussion in your group before you move on to the deeper discussions about who is going to kind of share out a couple of high level thoughts and points from your discussions.
And we really appreciate you taking any notes you can. I'll also take some notes when we get all back together, because I want, I have some ideas for this as well, but you all I know have done this work before, and we have a lot to learn from the expertise in this group. So
before we jump to that breakout, if you look in the chat, John is putting a couple of links in there now. You've heard me say it before. Go ahead and click on those links right now if you could. Sometimes they don't travel with you to the breakout rooms sort of at random. So you may not have access to those links anymore. Once you get there, there should be 3 separate links. Go ahead and open all 3 of those before. I'm sorry, 4 separate links. How many links, John? 5 separate links. Go ahead and open up those links before we move on.
What you can usually do is you'll get an invite to a breakout room, and you'll at least see which room you're in, and then you can click on which one you want before you agree to join, if you want to.
Jeremy, are we ready to open these?
We are ready. Courtney just joined though, so she may have to be put in a room.
Okay. It's not randomly assigning. Jeremy, help.
Did you just kick just me out?
No, I said it's not randomly assigning. You got to help. I don't know what I did.
Oh, I ended up in room 5 automatically somehow just now. I just came back.
I'm going to try it again.
All right.
Oh, man. This is going horribly.
Well, everyone.
I'm
How you
sorry.
doing today?
It's making me wait the 60 seconds before it kicks nobody out of the breakout rooms. All right, here we go.
It's just sent only me again, John.
I am doing the random assignments.
Okay. It's a little fun twist for the end of the year.
I want to make sure everybody goes out on a high note.
Ghost of Christmas Future, telling you what things are going to be like.
Okay, I think everybody's got their assignments. If Carrie is there, Carrie, you should have an assignment to break out room 4, but it says you haven't joined yet. And Kirsten, you're in room 2.
Nothing's popped up for me yet. Asking me to join.
All right, let's try this.
I'm trying moving her somewhere else. And then room 5 is only 2 people. We might want to either put Kirsten and.
All right, Kirsten, I'll put you at 5.
Okay.
Okay, I just moved you there. You should have an invite. People are in rooms?
Looks like it, yeah. Well, that was fun. Oh, Kirsten's back.
It just kicked me back.
You know, what this very well may be, I don't know if you guys have seen, most of the internet runs on Amazon Web Services, and
Mhm.
Amazon Web Services is having a massive outage today.
Yeah.
It's very possible that Zoom runs on AWS servers. It is frankly more likely than anything else that they do. And
Yeah, we had an internal memo that went through that told us that our Zoom meetings, Zoom and Team would.
Yeah, Cheryl, you had the same problem as Kirsten's having, is it keeps kicking you back.
Yeah, currently nobody's in room 1 at all.
So I'm going to try and move Cheryl to room 3. Let's see if that worked. Okay, she's in there. Well, you got your pick, Kirsten, where you want to go.
Doesn't matter.
I will then put you in room 2.
Okay.
I hope.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, welcome back, everyone. I think this is everyone. So I have an update. I mentioned this in the in a broadcast message if you saw it, but I did some Googling to make sure I wasn't making things up. But Amazon Web Services, I'm not sure if everybody knows what that is. John doesn't because he just told me. So I'll give the 3-sentence version. Basically, to run a website, particularly, or a web-based tool, particularly something like Zoom, you not only need really, really high-end servers and management, but they have to be scalable. They have to be in a situation where if you've got 100 people now, you're only running a server for 100 people, not for 100,000 people, or you'll go broke on electrical costs and all of those things. But if you jump up to 100,000 people, it needs to automatically scale to handle that. So Amazon, a number of years ago, started building massive around the world server farms. And that's what they do. You can buy an Amazon Web Services subscription, basically, for your website, so that you're only running on your local server. But if a ton of people come, it expands everywhere. And most of the internet these days runs on Amazon Web Services, including, among many other things, Zoom. So breakout rooms are one of the things that are being pretty massively impacted by this outage that's still going on. If you have a Ring doorbell like we do, that's also not working. If you have Alexas all around your house, those are also being goofy. I tried to return an Amazon package today and they can't accept it. So all sorts of issues. So that's where that little hiccup came from. So we appreciate you kind of sticking with us as we muddled through all of that. All right, so I know that some of you, because of all that bouncing around, maybe have ended up on different documents and all of those things. We're still going to have you share out a bit on your conversations. And I'd like to start first. I'm just going to go in order so you know where you're going to land. We didn't have a room 1. So room 2, that's the Charisse, Ebony, Kirsten, and Ramona group. Room 2, can you talk to us a little bit about your discussion? And the rest of you start back channeling to decide who's going to talk when I say your group. Charisse, you're unmuted.
Oh, yes, I was. Thank you for volunteering me. We really pose questions that related to lots of different factors when engaging communities. We ask questions about what assets are already there. So what STEM related opportunities are there? What industries are there that families are familiar with? And then are those opportunities that we should connect with, or do we need to identify unmet needs? We talked about technology capabilities that communities might have. Are those things that we can use? Can we build on those? Do we need to find workarounds for, if it's in CMSD as is Mount Pleasant and Lee and Harvard, like how do we go work within the confines of the district's technology guidelines? We thought a little bit about the populations that are served with STEM opportunities in that area. And so we asked questions about like who supported, what kind of incentives could we use in order to engage additional people? Are there opportunities to not only provide STEM opportunities, but then to facilitate older students' leadership abilities and to, fold in job readiness capabilities. And then let's see, one other thing that we talked about, leave some for others. Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about families exposure. So what are families expecting and what are they exposed to? How do we meet that need? I think that encapsulates it, and anyone can please feel free to jump in.
Perfect. You did an awesome job. Thanks.
Thank you, Charisse. You voluntold well. All right, can I get somebody from room 3? That's the Casey, Marzell, and Nadine group.
I elect Casey.
Thank you. And I'll take a first stab at that, and then others please jump in. So we talked about building a shared understanding of what STEM means. So not presupposing to have a shared definition. And so questions like, when you hear STEM, what do you think? What does STEM mean to you? How do you understand STEM? What are those concepts that are at play? We also talked about how bringing in from examples from our group members that bringing in physical examples like robots or automation can really help nail it home, right? When you talk about STEM, you can get into lofty concepts, but if you bring in a robot, you know, kids will understand, okay, that's a robot. I know what a robot is. And then there were also questions about what is the purpose and sort of what are we hoping to achieve here to sort of get at that, you know, shared understanding of the goals of the program. Nadine Marzell, please jump in with additional thoughts or comment.
Oh, I think you covered it very well. You know, I will actually probably covered it better than we did in the breakout room, quite frankly. But the three of us are all new to this meeting. So we did take some time with introductions and also talking about, you know, exactly what the purpose is of the question. So starting from there, I think she summed it up very, very well. So thank you, Casey.
Perfect. Thank you, Casey and Nadine and Marzell. Next up, we have room 4, which is the Alex, Karen, Lee, and Sarah room.
I'm glad to I am glad to report because I had 3 great experts giving some good insights. So Karen, Lee, and Sarah all shared a lot, and I tried to take some notes as fast as I could. But I feel like a few things kind of shared, but Karen made the great point about giving examples and having them be robust examples about what STEM is. That if we start with the present, and the last group shared this, you know, we don't want to presume people know what it is, but also we don't want to presume that they don't know. So giving some concrete examples beyond the typical, like sitting in a science class as a way of introducing. Lee made the great point about asking if anyone's missing. Is everybody that's in the room, you know, that needs to be involved in this project here. Sarah made the great point about making sure youth voice is included, which is part of the plan, because in all of our regions there is a youth council as well as in Mount Pleasant. So we will be engaging the youth council in this conversation as well. And then gave an example of a youth funding group called Generator Z. Did I get that right, Sarah? I thought that was interesting and worth looking up. And Karen made to summarize, kind of said, these conversations may help us narrow down our main audience, who is going to be the beneficiary, so that we're not just, you know, for program providers' sake, we're not saying reach pre-K through 24. We're, you know, narrowing it down a little bit, especially if our primary providers are, you know, libraries serving middle school age. That may be the focus, and we'll see that as we have these conversations. So thank you three so much. It was a really great conversation. I really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you. Before we go to our last group, I want to point out, I mentioned this in the chat, that we're going to close here shortly. But before we do, we like to give everyone an opportunity, those of you who are new, to share any upcoming needs, events, programs that your organization is doing so that we can get it on the radar. One of the most important roles of every ecosystem is to amplify existing opportunities and to help fill in gaps. And that's a really exciting thing that we hope is useful to all of you. So think for a minute during this last share out. If you've got anything coming up in December, January, make sure to share that out. All right, so finally, we've got our last room, room 5. That's the Carrie, Milani, and Robin room.
So I'll just kind of add to what everybody else said. We kind of thought about asking what partnerships these neighborhoods already have, and how they would like to partner with others. Is there either one central person or a central organization that is facilitating that collaboration? Because we were thinking, you know, just based upon our little small group, you know, there's multiple nonprofits and organizations that would be, you know, love to be involved, but it's just how do we make sure that we're not all spinning and everybody is, you know, getting to make it the best possible outcome, which is also, on that note, asking the neighborhoods, what are their desired outcomes? What do they want to have come out of these partnerships, which would enable us to best help and craft what would be the best way to approach programming for them.
Robin, I love that. It's something that's come up before, and frankly, it's something that's very easy to forget. That a lot of times, because our hearts are in the right place, sometimes we guess wrong about what people, organizations, communities need, and there is nothing more important than actually talking to the people we're trying to serve first. So I thank you so much for bringing that up again. It's a really useful, constant reminder. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing all of those. That's going to help as we expand this program. Alyssa, before we move on to any share outs, anything that you want to share or add?
Just thanks again. I was taking some notes in the chat that will help us, and we'll dive into those sheets and then share with everybody an update about where we are in right before the first of the year. We'll send out another update about steps in progress. Do have a little bit of good news. The Deaconess Foundation, to whom we had turned for some funding support, to seed funding support to launch this, has awarded a $40,000 grant to help us get started with some of this work. We hope it's the first of several, and we're just super excited about everything, and we'll keep everybody in really good touch about what's happening here. So no, that's all I have. I know that we have a lot of people that have some things that they want to share and discuss, and I don't want to speak for you, Jeremy, or you, John, or anybody else, but I'm happy to stay on if there's a good conversation going on and we're making connecting with folks that we hadn't talked to before. And if there's a desire to stay on after 5, I'm certainly happy to.
Well, thank you for that. So first, before we just kind of move into general conversation, for anybody who wants to stick around, you can either just unmute, or if you hit that reactions button, there's a little raise hand down there as well that you could use. What's happening in your organizations that should be on all of our radars? Ebony, yeah.
So I was thinking, this is the time of year in our organization where it's all about goal setting. And, you start thinking about what needs to happen the following year. So if your organization has kind of positioned themselves to think about like DEI goals in any way, the ecosystem have folks that have worked in this space that can kind of help you along. If it's new for your organization, we're here for you and we can help talk about that. So I just want to keep that as a reminder to folks that to put that on your radar. This could be your segue into engaging with the community that you may not have worked with, and or you want to build relationships even further.
Ebony, thank you for that. Kind of along those lines, I just want to mention, if it's new to you, because it's new to me, I'm in a different organization and they're doing a book study right now called oh my gosh, totally drawing into blank on the name of the book, but I'll find it in a second, about disequity specifically in STEM. And more importantly, the reason I like this book, it's focused a lot on the value add that increasing diversity in STEM-focused organizations brings, which, I wish we could only make the argument about it's what's right. But sometimes we also need some proof and support that there's just actual monetary and social value to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I will find that link while our next person is talking and put it into the chat. Thank you, Ebony.
I just put the title in the chat for you.
There it is. Black, Brown, and Bruised by Ebony McGee. Outstanding. All right, Karen.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to throw out there a quick little plug that we have our winter break camps coming up. So if you have little ones at home that are driving you crazy over winter break, the best thing about winter break camps too is that they're single day camps. So you're not having, I know that we all have plans of the holidays. I already have a million things I want to do with my kids, but you can just pick a single day. And sorry, my dog chooses to bark right now. And they're really easy and affordable too. So please share that out. We are working very hard towards it. And we also have a lot of new themes too, which is awesome. We have a new specialist that's helping bring in some animal science as well. So we're excited.
My kids have attended some of the camps at the Science Center and they're outstanding. I highly recommend them. They love them and they always ask to go back. Lee.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'm with NCA, formerly Greater Cleveland Neighborhood Centers Association, and we're one of the coordinating providers for Say Yes. I'm sure everybody around this table knows what Say Yes is trying to do right now. It's a massive undertaking by youth organizations in Cleveland to really staff up to serve, I think it's like over 50 schools with after-school programming. And we've created a position, a STEAM education manager position, where we're looking for candidates to really head up a component we're serving like 6 schools, kind of coordinate services directly, service to students, to trainer activities with the staff that we have. I had sent this position, Alyssa, I think I'd sent it to you. Maybe it's gotten out to some of you. And if you get that out, it'd be great. If you know anybody, send them our way. I mean, networking is just critical. I'm sure all of you who are trying to hire people are just finding it very difficult. We are, everybody else is. Misery loves company, but it only takes one person to fill a position. So appreciate any help anybody can send our way. Thank you.
And Lee, if you've got posting for that position, send it to Alyssa and we can maybe get that circulated.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Well.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Those of you who did, is there anybody who just couldn't find the hands up button and wanted to share anything? Just go ahead and unmute. Marzel, you just unmuted.
Yeah, can you shoot me the information on the CAVS event or somebody?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get you keyed into that. Marzel's driving right now. We will absolutely get you that information, Marzel. Ramona,
Thanks,
I just saw you unmute as well.
Right, I'm on the phone. I'm used to being on a computer. I couldn't find a hand, but
No problem.
For anyone with students K through 12, National Society of Black Engineers meets this Saturday at Jumpstart from 9 to 11. The only thing is that kids have to be vaccinated. That's a Jumpstart requirement. Bring proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test. But we're doing just STEM fun all day. Normally we have a guest speaker, but since it's December near school, we're going to do just fun competition and STEM activities 9 to 11 this Saturday. That's
Awesome.
it.
Thank you, Ramona. That's a great opportunity as well. Alyssa, I think I just saw you unmute.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask Ramona if she has anything she can send to us that you'd like us to distribute to.
Yes, I will send our schedule and then the link because everything's on our website. So I could type the link in the chat and then it goes to the schedule, but I can just send that out via email for you guys to share with everyone.
That'd be
Thanks.
great.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll keep circulating these things, the Great Lakes Science Center camp, the position that Lee mentioned, the NSBE. And if anybody else has anything else that they want us to share out, we're absolutely happy to do that. One other thing that I don't want to take time from anybody else that wanted to say something, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and John, don't jump through the computer monitor and strangle me. This is one of the reasons why it's really good to be virtual right now. I kind of wanted to know if we have any other people that we would like to be focusing on for the NeoSTEM profiles of Black and Brown STEM professionals. I think we've got 30 to 35 nearly done. We're working closely with Kirsten and now with some other organizations potentially that are interested in sharing these posters. I have zero idea how we're going to fund all of this, but as you guys all know, that hasn't exactly stopped NeoSTEM and any of its work. But my goodness, some of these profiles are absolutely mind-blowingly inspiring. And so, if there's other people out there, I'm hoping that we keep growing this, resource. The plan, for those of you that don't know, is that, and this aligns, of course, with the NeoSTEM goal of making STEM professions more visible and more accessible for students and families of color, as well as women who are, grossly, of course, underrepresented in STEM. And so we started this in the, not long after the Dream STEM meetings, and we've been interviewing these STEM professionals. We have produced the interviews in a couple of different formats. They're a written summary, they're a poster with a QR code that now links to the audio interviews. And super excited about these. So yeah, if you've got more, John, do you mind dropping that? Or we can put it in the newsletter, the next NeoSTEM blast that goes out, just another reminder.
Yeah.
I can't see enough of these things. I mean, I just think they're really cool and good. And
Yeah,
I
we'll
feel
put a
good.
reminder out. And if anybody has any suggestions, I know there's a couple of people that I'm looking at here that I've spoken to and that we're working on getting some things set up. I know Sharice, you're one of them. But just if you know of somebody, just shoot me an email, get a hold of me, and we can get something set up.
And what's doubly cool about this thing is that we have some students doing some of the interviews, which is super cool as well. And we may, Kirsten, we may have a CMSD student or two joining us to do some additional ones. And then we're planning, is Howlin on still? He may have dropped off. Yeah, I think he had a connection issue. But we're planning to translate some of them for sure to Spanish. And then we may be able to look at, down the road, some other languages as well. So super excited.
It is. It's a really exciting opportunity, and we'd like to continue to profile those folks. And as Alyssa mentioned, please make sure that you're submitting. What we have found in our work in STEM schools is that a lot of kids, particularly Black and brown students, but not exclusively, make a decision about what's possible for them in their careers by about the age of 8 or 9. And there are many things that have to happen in order to change that time frame and expand it, expand what they believe is possible, and expand the idea that I can still choose beyond that young age. But one of them is that all young people need to see people who look like them, people they connect with in positions of leadership, responsibility, positions of power, positions of influence. These are things that we're trying to close the gap on in a one small way that NeoSTEM can try to make a bit of a difference. Alyssa, Casey, or John, Casey's asking in the chat if there's a link for information about the interviews, because she'd like to share with some of the role model speakers that they have at their disposal.
Yeah, and we can drop it. John, do you mind dropping it in the chat too? And then we'll include it in the next NeoSTEM newsletter blast. But Casey, since this may be one of your first NeoSTEM meetings, do you want to just tell us a little bit about Hard-Hatted Women and what your org does?
Yeah, happy to. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. It's so nice to see the faces I've seen on emails. Happy to make the list. So my name is Casey Roach. I am the executive director of HHW Ohio. That's Hard-Hatted Women, the acronym. We are an organization that was founded in 1979 by a group of 3 tradeswomen as a goal to support each other as they were sort of moving up in the field, and with the goal of recruiting more women. And so we accelerate women's success in those fields in which they are traditionally underrepresented, including, unfortunately, STEM, but also construction and advanced manufacturing. And we have a program called the Role Model Speakers Bureau, which I just mentioned, which is made up of women, and my cat says hello, made up of women who are employed in these fields, who share their story to provide visibility of women. We say you can't be what you can't see. And so they're just examples of women in these fields. We know that it's important for girls to be able to see themselves as, you know, in these STEM professions, but we also know that it's important for boys to see women in these, to sort of normalize that gender role. And so if you have any women, I'll put out a similar call. We are always recruiting role model speakers. So if you know any women employed in STEM or any underrepresented industries, happy to talk to them and see if there's any way that they can give back to their communities. So thank you for the introduction, and so happy to be here.
Casey, welcome. That's a really exciting opportunity as well. All right, anybody else have something to share? As Alyssa mentioned, we can keep the channel open, but for those of you who want to end at 5, we like to give a solid breaking point. At that point, it does not look like it. All right, so thank you all for joining us. We will see you all again, I hope, in January. As always, if you have things to share, please continue to send those to Alyssa or any of the items that we've talked about today. And if you look around this room and you see a gap and you know how to close that gap, if you know somebody in an organization that's STEM focused that should be here, if you know a deep thinker in the region who could be helping, please introduce those folks to Alyssa as well. We're always looking to grow and expand our numbers of dedicated STEM professionals and people working STEM adjacent in the Cleveland metropolitan area to help the youth of this region. So thank you all, and we will see you all next time.